Oz. The name on the street for the Oswald Maximum Security Penitentiary. Oz, where after months of tension, a riot erupted. The unit known as Emerald City was overtaken by its prisoners. The governor ordered his troops to recapture it by any means necessary. When the smoke cleared, literally, 6 prisoners and 2 correctional officers were dead. 34 others were injured. Some overcome by the gas. Some from the beatings. Some from rifle wounds. Among those shot, Tim McManus, who invented Emerald City, and some say ran it into the ground. The rest of the prisoners were moved to Gen Park.
How many big people want to push this up? I'm gonna kill you,
Fucking bitch! Except for the riot leaders who were drop-kicked into solitary. By dawn, peace descended on Oz. Yeah, right. Blame is a beautiful thing, baby. Blame keeps this whole planet spinning. You can point your finger at the next man. You can shift the weight onto him. You don't have to carry that shit around yourself. You can slide into bed and get a good night's nap. He killed the cat. What the fuck was the cat so curious about that got him killed? Solitary sucks, man. But if you really want some company, you just gotta go through withdrawal. Never lie. Not because I'm so honest, but because I have a bad memory. And you can't be a good liar if you got a bad memory. You ask most people and they'll tell you lying is wrong. And then immediately go out and lie like a motherfucker. But that's cool. We all know lies are necessary. They also say if you repeat a lie often enough, it becomes the truth. Or at least you convince yourself it's the fucking gospel. So, as it turns out, no one was to blame for the riot. In fact, if no one was to blame, that means nothing bad happened. Nothing at all happened. So, life can pretty much go on as it has before. Yeah, right. So, there used to be this tribe, the Aztecs, who believed that the universe was created by violence. Every year, at what was their version of Christmas, they would cut out someone's heart and offer it up to the gods. These people were convinced that without their sacrifice, the sun would fall from the sky and the world would come to an end. Then the Spaniards landed and wiped the Aztecs off the face of the earth. Turns out they was right. The world did come to an end. For them. Welcome to Oz. 10 months after the world ended.
Aztecs, they had this king, Moctezuma II. That's the halls of Montezuma guy. One night, Moctezuma saw this flaming ear of corn shoot across the sky. A comet. Moctezuma saw this comet as an omen, a sign of his own downfall. And so he surrendered his empire to the Spanish conquistadors without a fight.
pussy.
Stupid fuck. You gotta fight, even if you know you're gonna lose.
When the Aztecs first saw the Spaniards on horseback, they thought the man and the horse were one creature. And the Aztecs knelt down and worshiped this creature as God. Sometimes what you see is not what is. Besides horses, the Aztecs had never seen a cannon. They had never seen such roar, boom, power thundering at them. They was afraid. Between the cannons and the horses, the fucking comet, their whirlwind turned pretty fucking fast, son. Boom! I don't know. So here's the funny part. The Spaniards actually exterminated the Aztecs by accident. Yeah, they had the horses and the cannons, but they also brought over smallpox. It was a disease that finally finished the job. A disease the Spanish gave the Aztecs without even knowing. Yo, in Oz, we do what we can to survive, but ultimately, it doesn't matter. Life always gets in the way.
Is coming, y'all. End of the millennium. A lot of lists being printed about who's the greatest person of the past 1,000 years. By great, they mean who had the most impact. Einstein, Edison, Freud. I can tell you one thing for sure. My name won't be on that list. And neither will anyone else's here in ours.
Bad men have their impact too. But you gotta be really bad. Like Ivan the Terrible, Jack the Ripper, Adolf Hitler. Yeah, old Adolf was an evil fuck. And let's face it, evil is the only thing that has survived intact these past 1,000 years. Booker T. Washington. Now he belongs on that list. Born a slave, he rose up and shook the tree. Everyone knew who he was. Everyone all around the world. Even the President of the United States asked for his advice. Now how the fuck did Booker T do that? Mr. Booker T. Washington writes in his book, "I have great faith in the power and influence of facts. It is seldom that anything is permanently gained by holding back fact." You want some facts? The U.S. Department of Justice reports that the typical prisoner in America is an undereducated young male minority, but you could have guessed that. If that undereducated young male minority receives his GED in prison, he is far less likely to come back.
You want to read out loud? W.E.B. Du Bois. Let's have Kenny. Why don't you give it a shot?
If that same kid manages to go to college while he's inside, he'll almost definitely never see a prison cell again.
Just pick any page you want.
Last year, one state, California, spent more money on its penal system than it did on higher education. These are the facts and figures. You ain't got to be that smart to add them up. Do you think that when the first millennium ended back in 999, that they made lists? Did they even know the millennium was ending? Now you think a doctor or two would be on the top of the list of the greatest person of the millennium. I mean, doctors do research, discover diseases. But no one's gonna put Doctors Epstein and Barr, Dr. Guillaume and Barre, Dr. Downs, Dr. Alzheimer's on any list. Because for all their hard work, hearing their names fills us with dread. Their names make us sick. Maybe the greatest man of the millennium was a woman. Princess Di, Mother Teresa, Catherine the Great, Madame Curie, Marilyn Monroe. Say what you want about her, yo. She made her little slice of the millennium a shitload more interesting. Yo, imagine being remembered for 1,000 years. The things you did when you was alive, reaching across time and touching the lives of people not yet born. That's some dream. Yo, that's why people write books. Start religions, find cures, run for president. But me, I don't want to be a great man. I don't care if I'm remembered for the next 1,000 years. All I ask
is if we pass on the street, notice me.
Some people say the Bible is the greatest story ever told. The best story is boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl. Yeah. Boy meets girl. That first moment when every corpuscle in your dick is percolating. Of course, not everybody has the same impulse. Boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl. And that's the best part, right? After all that shit that's come before, the two lovers finally stare in each other's eyes and bang! The story ends. Only, what happens after boy gets down with girl? Well, he starts to get at her, she starts to get to him, boy makes girl crazy, and vice versa. Hey girl, take a look at me. Let me dirty up your mind, yeah. I'll strip away your hard veneer. Let me see what I can find. Now you're probably saying, boy meets girl, that's one boring fucking story, it's always the same. But there are variations on the theme, like boy meets dog, boy loses dog, boy buys new dog, or girl meets psychiatrist, girl goes to therapy for the next 10 years. Or in ours, there's always boy meets boy. Boy meets girl, boy gets laid. What makes us want to fuck somebody? Is it the color of their eyes, the shape of their legs, the spike of their heels? Or is it what the poets tell us? That there's something deeper, a shared loss, a longing to find someone who knows the depth of our sadness. Some people search their whole lives for that someone. Some find him, some don't. Some fool themselves into believing they're in love. And in ours, most times, the illusion is better than reality. You made your bed, now lie in it. Anybody tell me what the fuck that means? You don't go through the trouble of making your bed, smoothing out the sheets, fluffing up the pillows, just to ruin it all by lying down. The phrase should be, you laid in your bed, now make it. The point being, you got to be responsible for your actions. Responsible. Billy Shakespeare, in his last will and testament, left his wife, Anne Hathaway, his, quote, second best bed. Now, Shakespeare had abandoned Anne and the kids years before, and had only come back home to Stratford when his bones had started to creak. Was the second best bed a joke between a husband and wife? Or was it Shakespeare's ultimate fuck you? Rumor mill says the President of the United States gets people to donate cash in return for spending a night in the Lincoln bedroom. But Lincoln never slept in the Lincoln bedroom. Lincoln never even slept in the bed that's in the Lincoln bedroom. How dumb do you got to be to give hard or soft money for a decent place to crash and it's false advertising? Shit. You want to pay the snooze in my room? Jeffrey Dahmer lived there. Hey, Al Capone, too. Fuck, for a couple of extra bucks, I get the ghost of Jesse fucking James to float on by. At the end of the day, a bed is the best friend you got. Sure, the mattress may be lumpy, springs may have sprung, the bed itself may be in some seedy motel or in ours. The bed, it beckons you, comforts, cradles till you sleep. And if you're lucky enough to have the right person lying next to you, shit, there ain't a reason you got to get out of that bed come morning. Good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite.
It's called the butterfly effect. A butterfly starts flapping its wings in China, and over the course of time, that little movement of air becomes a hurricane in Texas. See, one day, you got a butterfly dancing on a flower. The next, you got pianos stuck in trees. And the little butterfly, he didn't know any better. He was just out looking for food, for love, for some kind of satisfaction. Supposedly, cats can see in the dark. But how do we know for sure? And if you could be given cat's eyes, even for one night, would you really want to see what's going on? They live their whole lives in 30-second intervals. Every half minute, their little brain forgets what the last half minute of their life was like. In other words, when this little goldfish is happy, he thinks he's been happy his whole life since his whole life was only 30 seconds ago. And when this little goldfish is hungry, he thinks he's been hungry his whole life. And when he's dying, this little goldfish thinks he's been dying his whole life. Imagine that. Death being the only life this little goldfish will ever know. Those National Geographic specials, they're popular here at ours. All those wild beasts attacking each other. Ferocious lions running down to the watering hole, brutalizing antelopes and gazelles. How come there's never a program where the animals get along? Where they help each other? Is it possible for, say, a flat-billed platypus to help a green-eyed cockatoo cross the street? People are always wondering if their pets are gonna make it to heaven. If Jojo or Muffy are gonna pass through those pearly gates. How much you wanna bet the animals are wondering if their masters are gonna make it? Cats, dogs, parakeets, they don't spend their whole lives drowning in sin, lies, and suffering. They just wallow in the truth. Imagine that. If all we humans knew of life on Earth was the goddamn truth. So what is it that separates you and me from the goldfish, the butterfly, the flat-billed platypus? Our minds, huh? Our souls, huh? The fact that we can get HBO. Well, maybe it's that humans are the only species to put other animals in cages. Put its own kind in cages. Family! Our families determine who we are, determine what we're not. All of our relationships with everybody we ever meet for the rest of our lives is based on the way we relate to the members of our family. No wonder the world's so fucked up. You see what I'm saying? People move the way that they do because they're still working out some shit with their fathers. They're still pissed at their mothers for not potty training them properly. Shit like that. People want to get back at their parents for making them be born. Bad baby. You don't get to see much of your real family, your blood relatives. Sometimes the things you do inside, you do for them, to keep them alive, keep them around you, even if only in your head. The Jackson 5. The Kennedy brothers, the Marx brothers. When brothers work together, amazing shit happens. Husbands and wives, men. We come into this world looking for unconditional love from our parents. And when we don't get it, we find someone, anyone, and we marry them.
And we spend the rest of our lives together beating the shit out of each other, trying to prove that we didn't deserve unconditional love in the first place. In a marriage, you pay for crimes you never committed. Biatch. What? Motherfucker.
Because we share the same blood with our family, we can ask them to do anything. Anything. Lie, cheat, take a bullet. Only don't ask to borrow the new Lexus. Because then, my man, you are crossing the line.
Every once in a while, I remember something I did when I was a child. Or something that was done to me. By my father or my brother or a cousin. Some injury. Some humiliation. And it seems like it happened to another person a century or two ago. I'm not really sure if what I remember really took place at all. You can't build your life relying on the perception of a little boy, on the echoes of some memory. Nah. You got to let all that shit go. You got to start fresh. Every single day, you have got to start again. Escape. What a word. What a concept. The dictionary says escape means to break loose, to bust free. Yeah. There are all kind of ways to get the fuck out of Oz. For example, you can dig your way out.
Hurry up. I'll put the tiles back.
Every inmate wants out of prison, by hook or by crook. Of course, there are some who find that once they're free, life on the other side ain't all it's cracked up to be. What's the opposite of escape? I don't mean arriving, I mean being in a place and getting sucked deeper and deeper inside, so far down that you almost burst through to another side. You can escape from Oz in subtle ways. Heroin, alcohol. You should lock your brain with chemicals and it's almost as good as being free. Problem is, you do too many drugs and you become a prisoner of a different sort. And it's even harder to escape the emptiness that follows. There are legal ways to escape from Oz. Parole hearings, court appeals, and then there's clemency. Clemency. It sounds so benign, doesn't it? So purifying. Yeah. Everybody wants to escape from Oz. Of course, the truth is, there is no escape. I mean, let's say you manage to sneak out. Then you gotta run. And keep running. The life of running away ain't no life at all. Better to stay put, face reality. Deal with what you got and make the best of it. Yeah. The measure of a man is not where he lives, but how. How he makes the best of it. Make the best of it. Later.